Rasmus Christensen under pressure. Firpo forward, straight at Callum Wilson. Forward by Christensen, all the way through to Nick Pope in light mint green away to our right in the Newcastle United goal. He was desperate to get the Magpies moving, and they find Willock on the halfway line. We're at near 20 minutes gone. It's 1-0 to Leeds United. Luke Ayling with the goal. In a game where neither team has really settled for a second with so much on the line. Chip out on the right hand side toward Kieran Trippier for Newcastle. Into Bruno, who carries in field, leaves it for Joe Linton. And back to Bruno Guimaraes. Is there a pass on for him? It's left to Byrne. Byrne will look on now to Alexander Isak, left side line, running at Ayling. Into Bruno, return ball to Isak is overhit. And again, Newcastle United just not getting the passes right, not getting the moments right, feeling the pressure maybe.
Yeah,
from
maybe.
Melon Road.
Yeah, there's a lot of atmosphere inside this Melon Road Stadium this afternoon. It's being fully led by the Leeds fans. They're really pushing the team on. Guimaraes is good on the ball, but he wants time, he wants a little bit of space on the pitch. As soon as Leeds United lose possession, they adopt this 4-5-1 formation. Really narrow, really compact. But what they didn't do last week against Manchester City, they didn't go and forcefully press. They are this afternoon. They're really pressing this Newcastle team.
And even though Newcastle have been good, that's, I suppose, the difference between Newcastle United and Manchester City. Everyone and Manchester City. So Linton loses out in midfield to Greenwood, but Trippier is able to sweep it back into Newcastle possession. Then looks crossfield to Willock. On to Isak again, left sideline, into the penalty area now. Takes on 2, takes on 3, still going Isak, shot comes in, that's blocked. Recovered by Joe Linton, pressure here from Newcastle. Willock's cross, deep ball. Firpo looks to flick away, in fact he's missed it, which meant Almiron missed it, and that's a goal kick for Leeds.
Yeah, good defending there by Leeds. As soon as it goes out wide, and we know that's what this Newcastle United team want to do. They want to get Almiron on the ball, they want to get their wide players. It was Isak there at that time where he dropped his shoulder, come on the inside of the pitch, but there was 3 or 4 white shirts there defending for their lives, and they're going to have to do that, Leeds.
Long from the goalkeeper to Ayling, further on then to Pope, who volleys into touch, but there's a foul on Luke Ayling on the halfway line from the retreating Newcastle player, and that's a Leeds free kick, and we're at near a quarter of this game gone, and it's kind of gone Leeds' way so far.
Yeah, it's been hectic, it's been quick, it's been purposeful from Leeds. They know that this is a game for them to hopefully win and to get outside that bottom 3, and they've started off really well.
Ayling with the free kick, just inside their own half for Leeds, knocks it down the line towards McKennie, who jumps into Byrne, and it's cleared away by Cher. Isak wins the next ball. Callum Wilson beaten to it by the reading of the game of Robin Koch, and it's into touch for a throw to Newcastle. In their own half, they find Joe Linton. Newcastle 65% possession, 3 shots, 1 on target, 2 for Leeds, both on target in the same play. That led to the goal from Ayling. How much do these Newcastle players want to be in the Champions League? That's the question. And they'll need to answer here. Otherwise, with the incoming investment, they might not be around to see it, these players.
Well, that's the challenge for these boys, isn't it? They've done so well this season to propel themselves into this position, but like I said earlier on before the game kicked off, as soon as that investment arrived, and it did, and it arrived.
Beautiful diagonal here to Kieran Trippier, into Callum Wilson, it's away by Rasmus Christensen. A lovely big diagonal to Trippier, who crossed first time. Almiron then can't control a simple throw in, and it's gone Leeds' way after that.
Yeah, it was a good ball, wasn't it? A fantastic crossfield ball, and he does that really well, doesn't he? Late runs in behind the full-back, Kieran Trippier. It was a good ball into the box, but great defending there by Christensen. We were just saying about the investment from Newcastle. As soon as it arrived, expectation goes through the roof.
Yeah. There'll be more and more of it, but they'll be less if they don't qualify for the Champions League in the summer that's coming. Leeds look long, ball goes into touch, Kieran Trippier's throw midway inside their own half. So Linton back to Fabian Schär. No release on for him, so goes short to Trippier, who then finds Nick Pope. Being chased down by Bamford, it's on to Botman, and further left to Dan Burn, who can finally bring Newcastle clear. Rodrigo desperate to stop Burn getting any further with his recovery run. Joe Linton over the centre circle to Bruno Guimaraes, who again has overhit a forward ball, massively so as well, towards Almiron. Passing range of key players well off today so far.
Absolutely, and I mean, whenever Newcastle play well, Guimaraes is normally the architect right in the middle of it all. He's been poor his first 25 minutes. Unlike him, you know, he has got that quality, he's got that real composure and can pick a pass out. But he's really underneath the levels that we've expected from him throughout the season.
So far so good for Leeds United, who would be going out of the relegation zone if the result stays as is. West Ham next week at London Stadium, then Tottenham here. All of a sudden it's a very different world from the one we woke up in this morning, as they come forward now with Harrison. Looks to slip in Rodrigo. Burn intercepts, Botman under pressure, back to Pope, who has to clear it. It's a slicer. Burn then heads on. Willock beaten to it by Ayling. Burn under pressure again here from Luke Ayling. Just about turns away from him, but all he can do is prod it down the line. Newcastle really under it there and not dealing with it particularly well. No,
Leeds done really well. Recognise that Nick Pope's not brilliant with his feet as well, so they go and press the goalkeeper. Back it up behind. The levels of press have been really high for Leeds.
Well, Weston McKennie is going to throw in long again here from midway inside the Newcastle half. Big Sam is back.
And he's right next to him in the technical area as well, encouraging Weston McKennie to get the ball into the 18-yard box.
He's nearly standing next to him as McKennie does really throw it a long way to the edge of the penalty area. Cleared away once, then twice from Newcastle. No tippy-tappy football indeed. Leeds have it on the far side now with Greenwood. Lovely bit of footwork, and he finds a pass in field to Junior Firpo, and he's been brought down, and that's a penalty. That is a penalty to Leeds United. That's poor from Joe Linton. Tried to win it when there was no way of winning it. And here's a chance for Leeds United to take a 2-0 lead against third place Newcastle, thanks to Big Sam's big throw tactics.
Well, it's brilliant, isn't it? Fantastic play from Leeds United. Junior Firpo's found his way into the box, and he's just kept hold of the ball, used his upper body strength very well, and a terribly timed challenge there by Joe Linton.
Awful from Joe Linton, really poor. Never going to get that ball. It's not even a dive from Junior Firpo. He doesn't need to. He has been just ridiculously fouled by Joe Linton, and now Patrick Bamford has the chance to put Leeds United 2-0 up, and it would be his 5th goal of the Premier League season if he scores it. Another injury hit campaign for Patrick Bamford. He's one-on-one with the goalkeeper Nick Pope. Ellen Road holds its breath as Patrick Bamford steps up. Saved by Pope. Will it break back to Bamford? No, it won't. Pope makes the save to his right. It was firmly struck. It bounced into the 6-yard box, and Pope just claws it away before Bamford could turn it home.
Well, you've got to give the credit there to Nick Pope. He stayed on his feet really late. He was watching Patrick Bamford, wasn't he? His movement. It's not the finest of strikes by Patrick Bamford, and he'll be unbelievably disappointed that he's not given his team the 2-0 advantage.
Oh, could that be decisive as this corner now comes in? Pope comes out. Decent punch. Brought down by Rasmus Christensen. Cleared away by Burn. Newcastle can break here if it falls to Almiron, which it does. He then surely is caught by Rasmus Christensen. Referee has just given a throw-in on the left-hand side. Newcastle try and get on with the throw. Referee wants to stop play here for I don't know what reason, in truth. Newcastle then take their time with the throw instead.
Just seen the replay of the penalty there by Patrick Bamford. He's gone to smash it down the centre. He's not even got it on target in terms of where he wanted it to go. It was a real simple save there by Nick Pope. But it's been a big problem for Leeds, this centre-forward problem this year. Patrick Bamford's been missing a lot of the time. Rodrigo's played at the top. Reuter's come in and he's not found his shirt yet. What a chance there to be 2-0 up.
Well, if that had gone in, things could not have gone much better for Leeds. Newcastle having an off day to this point. Scored with their first attempt on target, or first attack. Then they get a penalty with the second one. And now Newcastle have a chance to, in the penalty area, get a penalty themselves. That's a penalty. Ball was slipped through to Alexander Isak. It was another really poor pass from Bruno Guimaraes, but it was so bad, it led to a bit of chaos. And I think it's Voba that's made the foul on Isak, and that's a penalty for Newcastle. Oh, Premier League, what do you do to us?
Well, it's incredible, isn't it? You know, from one phase of play to the other, Leeds could have been 2-0 up, and now, I mean, it's a slip, isn't it, by Firpo, and Isak's had to change the course of his run.
Ooh, we've got the replay here.
We might have another look at this, Tom.
I'm not sure this is going to be a penalty. I don't know. We've got another angle here, actually. Yes, it is.
It is, yeah.
Isak does get it first. On one angle, it looked like Voba poked it away, but it is Isak that gets the touch. It's a penalty.
Yeah, it's a strong run into the box by Isak, and a real poor challenge there by Voba. He didn't need to make that challenge the way that he did. It was so aggressive.
Well, Newcastle have been terrible in this game so far, to their own high standards. They were 1-0 down early. They've since conceded a penalty which Pope has saved, and now Callum Wilson has got the chance from the spot for his 16th goal of the season to get them back in this game. And they need it. They need it here, Newcastle. They have not been at the races today. Robles in goal. Bamford close by, having missed a penalty moments ago. Callum Wilson from 12 yards for Newcastle United puts it home. Callum Wilson scores 16 for the season for Callum Wilson, and that's what football can do to you. 1 minute you're cock of the walk, next you're a feather duster. It's 1-1.
Well, this is just highlights the emotional roller coaster these players are going to go through, the fans in particular. 2 minutes ago they're hopeful of a 2-0 game over, penalty kick by Patrick Bamford, and now they're fighting for their lives again, Tom. It's heartbreaking stuff for Leeds United.
Oh, seeing the replay, it's a really good penalty from Callum Wilson. Gets it right in the corner. Robles goes the right way, gets down there, big goalkeeper, gets his arm out. It's going to be perfection from the taker to score. And it was. And it was clinical. We've not seen much of this front three, have we, for Newcastle? The ball's not found its way into them areas. But listen, that's the tale of two centre-forwards. Leeds United have struggled with their centre-forwards this year. Newcastle have been destructive with theirs. Sean Derry, what a game we have had. After 32 minutes, it's 1-1. Well, it's brilliant. It is. You know, we spoke about the importance of these last three games across the board, you know, for the bottom 5 or 6 of these Premier League teams fighting for their lives. And that should settle Newcastle down a bit now. They were getting a little bit panicky, a bit nervy. They have looked quite fragile, haven't they? You know, we haven't seen this from Newcastle too many times this season. Take nothing away from Leeds, they've started off really well. But goals change games, change characters on the pitch as well. It's easy when you're playing at 2-0 up. It's very hard when you've just missed a penalty and now you're back to 1-1. 33 minutes, ball with Newcastle, flicked on towards Willock. And that's it with Newcastle. They're not necessarily a delicate team, so they'll get roughed up a bit, but they can rough you up back as well, which maybe they've got to do a bit more of here. Yeah, absolutely. They've actually been done by their own way of playing in the first 25 minutes. You know, Leeds United have won a lot of duels across the board. You know, they've pressed a lot better than Newcastle. They've won second balls a lot more than Newcastle. But they're back in the game. 32 minutes have gone, and now they've found the goal, and can we see the Newcastle United that we've seen all season? Oh, what a ball that is from Bruno Guimaraes, cross field, centre to right, to Almiron, who picks it up by the corner flag. Up against Firpo, Trippier on the overlap. Here he is now. Cross comes in, Voba heads up in the air. Callum Wilson goes down in the penalty area, that's not given. Volley at goal from Dan Burn, miles over the top. Wilson goes down under some pressure in the box. Simon Hooper immediately saying no. It's not great from Weston McKennie, just jumping into him. Well, it's not. I mean, he's got two defenders right behind him, Weston McKennie there. He didn't need to go and challenge for the ball, especially with his arm as elevated as it was. It was a real gamble, especially with a penalty just been given only 2 minutes earlier. I do wonder what's going to happen with Weston McKennie, brought in on loan from Juventus in January, was brought in to play with Tyler Adams and for Jesse Marsh, and now he's taking long throws for Sam Allardyce.
The highlight, and you know what football sometimes brings. You know, starting the season at Juve and coming in and being asked to play a certain type of football, and he'll be definitely being asked different questions this last 2 weeks.
Has he been a hit here, success here? If they stay up, would they want to keep him, do you think? Good play by Bruno to get away from a couple of tackles there and find a pass back to Fabian Schär.
I think Weston McKenzie's been disappointing for Leeds United. You know, I was expectant that he would come in and he'd really change the dynamic of this Leeds United midfield. I think he has missed Tyler Adams. Yeah. You know, he knows and understands what type of player he is, but I don't think we've seen the best of Weston McKennie.
There's Alexander Isak here for Newcastle in the offensive third again, where they've actually spent quite a lot of the game now, Newcastle. Leeds camped in. Guimaraes finds a pass right to Trippier, tries to slip one into the gap, not many of them, intercepted. Breaks back now to Bruno Guimaraes, didn't pass to Almiron, right to Trippier, early cross under some pressure, comes off a Leeds leg on its way through, and it's a corner kick from nothing really for Newcastle on the attacking right hand side. 10 minutes to go until the half-time whistle, and it's 1-1.
Well, it's been a great game. We was hopeful of a game like this before, knew that both teams have got so much to play for, and it's turned into a real Premier League game.
First corner of the game for Newcastle on the attacking right hand side, an area of the match where Leeds have struggled in the season. Sam been able to teach them how to defend a corner in his 10-12 days in charge. No Kevin Nolan to put on the goalkeeper. That sort of stuff. It's in short to Almiron. Return to Trippier in the box, who delivers one deep. One at the back post well by Rasmus Christensen. And then Callum Wilson is just able to recover it from Rodrigo, but he and Firpo combine to nick it back again. Is there a break on? Firpo's pass was blocked. And it's a throw-in to Leeds United. Rodrigo's not happy about something wrong.
I think he's just asking the referee Simon Hooper there about a kick-out from Callum Wilson. Brilliant little duel in the corner. Both of them went really at it. Chest to chest, arm to arm, and Rodrigo come out of it best, and it looked just slightly that Wilson had a little kick out to him, so he was a bit aggrieved there, Rodrigo was.
In terms of the sound you're hearing, in the first 25 minutes it was all the supporters of Leeds United from the Norman Hunter stand, and now it's the Newcastle fans you can hear cheering and enjoying their day. All of a sudden they certainly weren't before that equalising penalty from Callum Wilson, as Leeds look long. Breaks off a Newcastle defender to Jack Harrison, running towards the penalty area, right to Weston McKennie. Cross comes in, it's away. Diving header, Kieran Trippier. Byrne wins the next one. McKennie trying to battle Willock for the ball, but Willock is too quick and he's too fast and he's too fit, and he gets there before McKennie. Still going, Joe Willock up to the penalty area, beats 2, not 3. Cock away, breaks to Byrne. Byrne can find Bruno to his right. Bruno Guimaraes, the Brazilian international, player of intent when they signed Almiron. Into Isak in the penalty area, who's floating right across that front three. Back to Almiron again. Return to Bruno. Into Almiron. End line right hand side. Cuts it back. Oh, and it's hit Christensen on its way to Wilson. Goes for a corner to Newcastle United, who are well on top now. Yeah,
they've really turned the screw, haven't they? This is the Newcastle Uniteds that we've become accustomed to seeing this Premier League. Good into play there by Almiron. Gives and goes, gets himself inside the box, and led to some emergency defending by Leeds, and they've got to defend this corner again.
That's good work by Cork and Christensen, who've been under pressure in that defensive line in this game for Leeds United. Corner comes in, right hand side, chance here for Fabian Schär, who wins the header, loops it up but hits the roof of the net for Newcastle United. Has anything changed now in terms of tactics for Leeds? It's been pretty big Sam. Play the channels, look long whenever you can.
I just don't think he wants to change. I think he wants to do it his way. He's obviously confident in the way that he manages his football clubs, Big Sam, and to a degree for the first 25-30 minutes it was fantastic, and it's all changed on the course of a penalty kick.
Game there to be won for both teams at the moment. Leeds might need to navigate the next 6 minutes or so before planning for the second half, as Bamford looks to flick on first time to Rodrigo. It's It's a nothing connection on the ball really from Patrick Bamford, and it's out for a goal kick.
Well, he's stunned, isn't he, Patrick Bamford? You know, that penalty kick that he missed it looks to be quite fragile at the minute. The ball's come in and around his area, and 2 or 3 times he's given it away cheaply, and that's pressure for you, Tom.
Yeah. 40 minutes played, Leeds 1, Newcastle 1, Premier League Live. Ball with Newcastle as it has been for near 70% of the match. Isak, cross-field, right to Trippier. Over the halfway, Newcastle. That's a poor first touch. Allows Firpo to get a challenge in. Nearly broke back to Trippier. And Joe Linton nearly won it. Bruno then does with a sweeping Sunday League style challenge through to Joel Robles in goal. Well, he's telling people to calm down for some reason. That's the last thing Leeds want, isn't it?
No, I mean, Robles wants he wants the fans to get behind them and, you know, to generate this atmosphere. This is what Leeds United are all about.
Well, giving the ball away here, but won back well by McKennie. Wilson tried to do too much. And then he has overrun it. Callum Wilson's won it back again, then lost it again, and Greenwood can come away with it here for Leeds United. Driving forward, Greenwood. Is there a pass on for him? There's not, because Almiron was too sharp for him, and there's frustration there from the Leeds fans who thought there was an attack on. Over the top here to Willock. That's intercepted by Rasmus Christensen for Leeds United. The quality certainly dropped in the last few minutes. I think the two teams are just tired from this incredibly intense game we've seen for 40 minutes as we head towards the final 5. Ayling's deep ball, trying to find Bamford. It's far too close to Nick Pope. It makes a simple gather for Newcastle United. Rolled out to Bruno Guimaraes, who can find a pass right to Fabian Schär.
He's just dropped a little bit deeper, Bruno Guimaraes has. He's just was slightly higher, playing in a more advanced 8 role, and he's just dropped into a holding midfield position with Joe Linton, and seems to be on the ball a little bit more. And
he's the outstanding player on the field, isn't he? Get him the ball.
He is, absolutely.
Down the line here from Joe Linton. Willock was the target. Another good sweeping.
That was a rock star move, using Workday to reskill the entire workforce so quickly.
Actually, a rock star move, just trashing home.
Centre-back role, especially last week. He done okay against Manchester City.
Does look a bit more of a centre-back than a full-back. But then so does Dan Burn, to be fair. Here's Bruno with a square ball to Joe Linton. Once again, Newcastle into the offensive third here. Leeds camped in. Bruno out right. Finds Almiron. Takes on Firpo and Harrison. Wants someone to pass to at some point. Has to go back to Kieran Trippier. Plenty of white shirts to get past here for Newcastle. Bruno back to Trippier. Trippier into Joe Linton. Lets the ball run across his body and pokes it nicely into Callum Wilson here, who could get there, but it's Robles who gets the first connection to it. The referee has then blown his whistle because I think Joe Linton was caught late as he released that ball into the penalty area. Newcastle free kick. Yeah,
they're turning the screw, Newcastle. They're just now having more possession, more little combinations. It was a late challenge, wasn't it, there on Joe Linton by, I think it was Robin Koch.
There was a foul from Greenwood then from Koch before the ball's released, so take your pick there from the two challenges from Leeds players. Newcastle free kick, right hand side, right of centre at least, 40 odd yards from goal. Kieran Trippier over it again, whose delivery has not been to its highest standard today. Newcastle I think really struggled in the opening 25 minutes, but are getting more of a foothold now. Trippier's ball in, it's over everybody's head. It's another poor ball in from Newcastle. They've not done that well today.
No, they haven't, and I'm just watching the way that they approach these set plays, Newcastle. All the 4 or 5 bodies that are inside the box, they're very close to each other, and sometimes, you know, you've got to be so precise with your delivery. It's got to go into that area. If you just split the group a little bit and maybe have 2 at the back post, 2 at the near post, you can sometimes get a little bit more joy, but the delivery's been poor by Trippier. He's got a lot more quality than that.
A reminder, there is further Premier League football today. When we are finished here, we head to a game at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Russell Hargreaves and Paul Parker, your commentary team, from 2:30 UK time. Also today for our online and digital partners, we've got Aston Villa against Tottenham, Chelsea Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace against Bournemouth, and Southampton Fulham. Goals as they go in, and updates on our feature match commentary. Our current feature match is Leeds Newcastle, and Patrick Bamford has picked the ball up here over the top, and there's a chance here for Greenwood, who takes a snapshot from the edge of the area early, trying to catch Pope off guard, who finds the Norman Hunter stand instead.
Well, it's a long straight ball there by Christensen, and we're just saying that Patrick Bamford's been quiet since missing his penalty. Done really well there, held it up really well, and it's a poor outcome in the end by Greenwood. He supported the forwards really well, but changed his foot pattern and just sliced it over the bar.
There's another goal in this, though, for Leeds United in this game. They're not as defensively solid and sound as maybe they were 6 months ago, Newcastle.
No, they're not, and I think Sam Allardyce has recognised the importance of this game this afternoon. For me, they've got to go and win it. They've got to go and get the maximum 3 points.
Oh, beautiful ball from Bruno Guimaraes, finds Joe Linton, and there's passes on here for him. One is to Willock in the penalty area. Poor first chance, challenged by Ayling. Willock redeems the ball and now runs at Ayling again, jumps to ground. For goodness sake, you're not getting a penalty for that, and Ayling brings it away. Well, look, maybe we're going to see a replay here to change my mind, but on first viewing, he's just jumped to ground in hope.
Nice paw by Willock, isn't it?
And they come again, Newcastle, into Callum Wilson. Back to him again. Wilson can't find a release. They just keep running into Leeds players, Newcastle, around the edge of the area. Bamford then battling Botman for the ball here, and Botman has won it. Bamford goes down. That was a tongue twister. Botman comes away with the ball. 2 minutes added on at the end of this 45 minutes. The score is 1-1. Premier League Live. Almiron will find a pass infield to Bruno, who carries left to Burn. Here is Joe Willock, who tried to cheat for a penalty moments ago and is getting the appropriate response from the Leeds crowd.
And rightly so. You know, we love the Premier League, we love football generally, but you still want to see the honesty within the players.
Isak controls with a couple of players around him, centre of the pitch, 40 yards from goal. Trippier looks right, it overhit to Almiron, but he has kept it in. Back to Trippier, into Bruno. Bruno out of his feet, on to Isak. Tries to take on two, does so. Here's Almiron with the effort here. Oh, just wide of Robles' goal. He tried to curl one in on the opposite side of the goalkeeper. I think maybe Robles dived, made it look closer than it was. Yeah, just about right there.
Yeah, these wide players for Newcastle are causing Leeds some problems now, aren't they? Almiron, Isak. I think because Newcastle United are having a little bit more pressure, a little bit more in possession of the ball, they're really taking it to these wide areas, and Ayling's just remonstrating there with Isak, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's not, and it was Willock who did the dive a minute ago, and I think Luke Ayling is just saying it was a dive, it wasn't a penalty, so where's the booking for a dive, which you don't see anymore, do you really?
Well, it's gone, hasn't it? I mean, we used to see it a couple of years ago, not now.
Now Luke Ayling has been pacified for the moment at least by the referee after a long conversation, and they're ready to get back underway again with seconds remaining in this half, which has been terrific entertainment. You can tell this game has a lot on the line for both of these teams as the ball is blasted long towards Bamford, who heads into touch, and that is that for a first 45 that saw Luke Ayling score the opening goal, his second of the season, a tap in after Pope made a save from a Rodrigo header. Patrick Bamford then on 28 minutes missed a penalty. 3 minutes later, Callum Wilson scored his to give us a half-time scoreline of Leeds 1, Newcastle 1. Further analysis to follow. Stay with us. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Previously on White and Jordan.
Well, we didn't budget for this money. Surely we want to give it to our lesser cousins. Yes, and the moon's made of cheese, right?
Clash of the Simon.
The modern day fairy tale today in English football almost inevitably involves money.
There's no such thing as a no-score draw.
But this will be an exercise in goodwill. Something that the Premier League is bereft of.
How biased is Trevor? Sort it out. Seriously, sort it out.
White and Jordan.
The nation's primary destination for a triple distilled opinion and blistering debate.
Weekday mornings from 10 on the world-famous Talk Sport.
Times Radio.
I'm Mariella Frostrup. Join me as I talk to renowned guests about the worlds of culture, lifestyle and entertainment.
Including Sir Michael Palin.
Python's always been, I think, a nice mix. It's about human behaviour and what we do and how we sort of mess ourselves up.
And Werner Herzog.
When you look at family romance, it's a deeply humanistic film. It is a very essential of my films.
From auteurs to icons, artists to activists. Join me, Mariella Frostrup, for the radio show dedicated to exploring the ideas that shape our times.
Mariella Frostrup.
Monday to Thursday afternoons from 1
on Times Radio.
Stories of our times from the Times and the Sunday Times.
One agenda-setting story told in depth by experts.
I'm Manveen Rana.
I'm David Aronovich. Go beyond the headlines with original quality journalism and exclusive interviews.
What happens in the next year may define this country for the next 40 years.
We take you to the heart of the stories that matter. With exclusive access and reporting, you'll hear from the best and most informed journalists from the UK's most trusted newspaper. It's published for the start of your day, and you can listen for free on the Times Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search The Stories of Our Times.
John Pienaar at Drive, Monday to Thursday afternoon from 4 on Times Radio.
We're going to be talking about the news. We're going to be discussing it and explaining it.
Join John Pienaar for the Drive Time show dedicated to the news that matters and the views that need to be heard.
I'm going to give people the time and space to tell us what they think. And I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to help you make up your mind.
Trusted news, insight and opinion that speaks for itself. John Pienaar at Drive.
4 to 7, Monday to Thursday.
On Times Radio.
Hey, I'm Brian Dunstead from SiriusXM FC. Every Monday, join Tom Rainey and me as we go all around the soccer world on our podcast, Week in the Tackle.
Enter our private circle.
From the significant...
There is a lot of reason to think they're going to win this tournament.
To the absurd.
This little car comes on, like...
We cover the soccer stories we find interesting on Week in the Tackle. Available for free on Stitcher or your favorite podcast platform.
It's half-time in our first match of Saturday's Premier League action. Leeds against Newcastle United. Here's the best of it. Bamford towards the end line. Holds up, takes on Trippier, crosses in. Really good ball too! Saved by Pope, returned home by Luke Ayling. First chance, first goal for Big Sam's Leeds United.
Brilliant by Luke Ayling. Just found his way inside the 18-yard box. We've got the scrap.
Greenwood, lovely bit of footwork, and he finds a passing field to Junior Firpo, and then he's been brought down, and that's a penalty. That is a penalty to Leeds United. That's poor from Joe Linton. Ellen Road holds its breath as Patrick Bamford steps up. Saved by Pope. Will it break back to Bamford? No, it won't. Pope makes the save to his right.
It's not the finest of strikes by Patrick Bamford, and he'll be unbelievably disappointed that he's not given his team the 2-0 advantage.
Now Newcastle have a chance to, in the penalty area, get a penalty themselves. That's a penalty. Ball was slipped through to Alexander Isak. It was another really poor pass from Bruno Guimaraes, but it was so bad it led to a bit of chaos. And I think it's Boba that's made the foul on Isak, and that's a penalty for Newcastle. Callum Wilson from 12 yards for Newcastle United puts it home. Callum Wilson scores 16 for the season for Callum Wilson. And that's what football can do to you. 1 minute, you're cock of the walk. Next, you're a feather duster. It's 1-1.
2 minutes ago, they're hopeful of a 2-0 game over. Penalty kick by Patrick Bamford, and now they're fighting for their lives again, Tom. It's heartbreaking stuff for Leeds United.
Sean Derry alongside me, Tom Rennie, on commentary of this game. 1-1 at half-time, Leeds against Newcastle United. Sean, things were going so well for Leeds United. Started well, scored early, tactics working. They've got a penalty to make it 2-0. It's all gone wrong since then. Yeah,
the last 15 minutes have all changed into Newcastle's hands. Leeds started really well. Like you say, the tactics were right. You know, the endeavour, the way that they approached the game. The fans were right behind them. Took a very good 1-0 lead, and I thought they deserved it. The second part of the game was unbelievable. You know, Patrick Bamford, it was a poorly hit penalty, wasn't it? People will say it was a good save, but it was right at him, Tom. You know, there was no disguise in terms of the penalty, and suddenly then people like Guimaraes gets hold of the ball, drops a little bit deeper in possession, and vitally get the equaliser. And at this moment in time, you can only see one team winning this second half.
Newcastle did go on to dominate the game, but Leeds certainly still in it, and the next goal is going to be so important. What's Big Sam saying to them now in the dressing room? Is he saying more energy, start again, 0-0, new game, and can that be convincing, considering there will be a feeling with at least some of those players that it's slipping away from them a bit?
Well, there's a fragility around these Leeds United players. We've seen that so many times this season, and I think that's what Sam Allardyce will be saying. You know, keep your composure, keep calm, stay until the last minute, 95, 96 minutes, which I'm sure it'll go all the way to the death. But I don't know, from Newcastle United and Eddie Howe's perspective, he'll be saying, lads, we've got our own objectives. We want to stay in that top four. We want to push for European places. And the level of that 30 minutes that Newcastle United displayed was very poor. So I think there's some troubled times for Leeds in the second half.
And what do you say if you're Eddie Howe on that? Because that first half was unexpectedly poor, though credit to Leeds. Is it higher intensity, lower intensity, a calmness? You're the coach there. What do you want from your players here? What's the mentality that Newcastle need?
Well, I think he's already made a little slight tactical shift with Gomeres' position. He was playing particularly high in the first 30 minutes. He's dropped slightly deeper, playing alongside Joel Linton, and they've got a little bit more control on the midfield. So from a tactical point of view, I think he'll be making some slight adjustments. Get the ball out wide. We know these Leeds United fullbacks, we've seen it so many times this season, one-on-one in their duels, they've struggled with that, especially when you've got overloads by people like Trippier and Byrne. So I think the ball will be going out wide a little bit earlier, and I can see more balls going into the box, because this Leeds United team, we know, can see goals.
That's the early game of today in the Premier League. Later, Aston Villa take on Tottenham, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth and Southampton, Fulham. Those games available to our online and digital partners. Here on Premier League Live, our feature match sees Manchester United take on Wolverhampton Wanderers with Russell Hargreaves and Paul Parker, your commentary team. Let's hear from the two managers, Eric Ten Hag and Julien Lopetegui.
We are convinced what we are doing. So we had a lot of success. We won a lot of games. The way we work. So method of work, a way of play. So the structures are really clear, but we have to execute them. And that was the problem in some last games. We have to show 100% discipline in rules and principles. And when we do that, we are successful.
They were and they are a very, very good team, top team with top players, very good coach. They are fighting to very good position to be in the next Champions League. So in the Premier League, this is a very, very difficult achievement. That's why they are a very, very top team. And above all, they play in Old Trafford. So we are aware that the kind of match they are going to have.
Here's Julien Lopetegui there alongside Eric Ten Hag. Sean Derry alongside me. Question for you on Wolverhampton Wanderers. I mean, they've had just as chaotic a season as Leeds, who we're watching, and Southampton down the bottom. But Lopetegui has got them up, winning massive home games against big teams. Have they impressed you? Has he impressed you?
Yeah, he's mightily impressed me. I think he's gone about his job fantastically well. I thought they were gone in Christmas time, you know.
Bottom of Christmas.
They had a terrible run of results, and they just looked really fragile, and they didn't look like they was holding their own at this level. And I thought there was a championship team playing in the Premier League. He's come in, he's just re-energised the group, hasn't he? You know, the home form's been outstanding. And you've got to say, he's just, for me, the second half of the season's got to be one of the top managers.
Not easy for Man United today. 2 straight defeats in games that they might have expected to get something from, and Rashford might be missing as well. I mean, could be Europa League again.
Well, that would be disappointing from Man United's perspective. I mean, we said earlier on about the last 2 performances have been well below the expectations of Man United. They'll be going to play Wolves this afternoon, hoping, expecting to win the game, but the levels of the performance levels have been really poor for Man United, and when they've been missing, we spoke about the centre forward issue, you know, that's always going to be an issue for Man United.
We shall see. That's the game that immediately follows us here on Premier League Live, and if you're with us tomorrow as well, for all of our listeners not in Ireland, Everton, Manchester City, Arsenal, Brighton Brentford, West Ham. Monday, Leicester, Liverpool. What a big game that is. Certainly for both our teams we're watching here as well. Then Thursday we're back with Newcastle for a rearranged game against Brighton. Make sure you join us for that. And indeed for the second half of this game, where it's currently 1-1 between Leeds United and Newcastle United. The second half follows. Stay with us. You're with Premier League Live.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Previously on White and Jordan.
People are going to turn around and say this is all saccharine and sentiment.
I know about sentiment. What's saccharin?
Saccharin is a sweet way of looking at the world.
I thought it was a soluble aspirin.
Comments, conflict and confrontation.
By God, it was eventful to say the least of it.
You look at this and say, some celebrations are better than others.
Disagree to disagree.
Is it not a courtesy thing, though? Is it not a matter of courtesy?
Oh, yeah, because football's full of courtesy.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport Breakfast, the only breakfast show worth getting up for. Talk Sport Breakfast with Laura Woods and Ali McCoy. Updated, upmarket, up with the lark.
What just happened there?
Talk Sport Breakfast, Monday to Wednesday morning from 6 on Talk Sport.
Mariella Meets on Times Radio. Listen to the podcast from Times Radio, where Mariella talks to a host of big names from the worlds of politics, entertainment, culture and the arts, including Dame Joan Collins.
A reporter said to me, "What are you going to do if this all ends?" And I said, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. One of the things you have to know about fame is it ain't gonna last.
Mariella Meets on Times Radio. Listen for free on the Times Radio app.
TalkSport Drive, weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport. Unrivaled, opinionated comment from the biggest names in sport.
Join me, Andy Goldstein, and TalkSport Team Drive.
A tower of sporting power in the afternoon.
Adrenaline-soaked, seat-swapping high-performance radio where horsepower meets goal power.
TalkSport Drive.
100% nationwide coverage.
Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport.
The fastest football on the way home.
TalkSport Drive.
Hey, it's Brian Dunseth, former Olympian and current Sirius XM FC host. Do you need more than your average recap of the weekend in soccer?
Sorry, America, but it is the biggest sport in the world.
Well, look no further than Weekend to Tackle. This podcast is all about stories we want you to know, from the most important on-the-field moments to the lighter side of the beautiful game.
You were jumping up and down like a lunatic. That's 7 beers before the game for you.
It's all on Weekend to Tackle, available every Monday wherever you stream your podcast or listen on the SXM app, included with most subscriptions.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Leeds United against Newcastle United from Elland Road. 1-1 at half-time. I'm your host, Tom Rennie. Alongside me is the former Leeds United midfielder, Sean Derry. This is Premier League Live. We are waiting for the two sets of players to emerge from the tunnel for the start of this second period. We're not expecting any substitutions, or in fact, no one. Adam Forshaw is going to be coming on here for Sam Greenwood. So there's one change for Leeds United, an attempt to maybe get control of midfield. So it's Joel Robles now in goal, Max Wober, Robin Koch, Rasmus Christensen, Junior Firpo, Luke Ayling are back five. Firpo left, Ayling right. Midfield, Weston McKennie and Adam Forshaw now, with Jack Harrison and Rodrigo supporting Patrick Bamford up front. So one change there for Leeds United. Is that tactical? But we don't have a word on an injury, but it's certainly a more experienced head.
Well, he is an experienced head, and he started the game last week against Manchester City. I'm slightly surprised, I've got to say. I thought Greenwood has done okay in the first half, in sense of he's joined the front line. And that's not many opportunities. You know, we've seen this Leeds United team this year with the midfielders. Sometimes they've sat really deep and they'll be defending for their lives. But Greenwood's done all right on the front foot. Perhaps he is looking for a little bit more experience, Sam.
Most of the bench now. Forshaw is off it. Ilan Meslier, Brendan Aronson, Mark Rocca, Crescencio Somerville, Pascal Struijk, Jorginho Rutter, Willie Gnonto, Archie Gray. For Newcastle, Nick Pope's in goal. Back four, left to right, Dan Burn, Fabian Schär, Sven Botman, Kieran Trippier. Midfield, Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Willock, Miguel Almiron, Callum Wilson, Alexander Isak, the front three. Bench, Martin Dubravka, Paul Dummett, Anthony Gordon, Alan Maximan, Jamal Lewis, Matt Targett, Javier Manquillo, Jacob Murphy, Elliot Anderson, Simon Hooper referee, Graham Scott fourth official, Neil Swarbrick VAR. Newcastle, navy shirts, shorts and socks. They kick from left to right as we are looking in this second period. Leeds the other way, right to left, white shirts, white shorts, white socks. They have the ball on the far side with Rodrigo, who looks to take on Joe Linton and Willock. Challenge from Joe Linton, throw in for Leeds over on the far side. First 10 minutes of the game was frantic, frenetic, and it was
Newcastle United grabbing control of the last 15 minutes of the first half. That's probably why he has made the change with Forshaw. A little bit more experience, a bit more nous and know-how on the pitch.
That's good play by Newcastle in the right back area to beat a Leeds press, and there's a chance here for Isak to slip in Wilson in behind on the right hand side. He's certainly got the pace on the defender coming over to close him, and then it's a foul by Max Wober on the cover, who looked to be really struggling there to catch up to Callum Wilson as he charged away.
Dangerous position for Leeds United here.
It's Kieran Trippier on the right side line. It's about 25 yards away from the corner flag. Not really been his day today in terms of set piece delivery, dead ball delivery, Kieran Trippier, but it only takes one. And Newcastle have sent the bodies forward in anticipation of this being that.
Real height advantage, haven't they, this Newcastle team?
Trippier, right-footed, Robles underneath it, punches up, not away. Joelinton then wins the next header, but then heads it straight into touch on the end line. Still not quite at their best, Newcastle.
No, it's really weird watching Kieran Trippier with his delivery today. He's normally on the money, isn't he? He's got good delivery from set plays. He's over it a lot. He tried the short after about 15 minutes in the first half. That didn't come off.
Joe Linton thinking there with that header. That's very strange.
He was looking at the goalkeeper as well, Robles, who's punched more of a dangerous position to where the ball came from.
This game's still in the balance, you know, as Ayling knocks on to Rodrigo on the right hand side for Leeds. Byrne is with it. Rodrigo turns away. Throw into Leeds. Taken quickly. Here is Forshaw. Trying to find Weston McKennie, who wasn't quite alert to it. Cleared away by Botman. For a throw into Leeds on the right hand side by the corner flag.
Because they're going to have to come out in the second half, you know, at some point Leeds United have got to go and commit numbers. You know, the value of this 3 points this afternoon is massive, considering what the next two games look like.
Aidan Forshaw, such a crucial player for Leeds over the years in the Championship especially. Had lots of injury issues during his time in the Premier League, as this long throw comes in from Weston McKennie, gathered by Nick Pope around the penalty spot. Is it wise? I mean, I know it's an Allardyce thing, but if Newcastle have that height advantage, I'm not sure it's a great tactic today. It's maybe in a few months' time when he's brought his players in.
Yeah, maybe. I think what he tries to do is he tries to get the ball in dangerous areas, and then if he doesn't get the first contact, he makes sure he locks off the 18-yard box and reapplies pressure with the second phase, and that's what Allardyce has done throughout his career.
Bamford does well with teammates to win it back on the halfway line for Leeds, and he'll now drive forward and look to slip in Rodrigo. It's cleared away by Schär, flicked on by Bruno Guimaraes. He wants a free kick, that's not coming. Referee Simon Hooper has let a lot go today. Long from Leeds, away from Newcastle. Long from Leeds, away from Newcastle. I'm not stuck, it just keeps on happening. This time Rodrigo's tried to bring it down. Byrne with the tackle, controlled by Christensen. Koch tries to spin one round the corner, which he does well actually. Ayling controls it on the sideline. Leeds have it in the centre circle, with Adam Forshaw running right to left. Christensen to Weston McKennie. McKennie clips it down the line. Rodrigo makes the run. He pulls Botman with him. He's done well there, Rodrigo. Left-footed spinner into Bamford, back to Koch, who can't control it, and Cher gets it away. Forshaw controls for Leeds United. Heavy pass, Rodrigo keeps it, challenged by Willock. And then a foul by Rodrigo, having been dispossessed by Joe Willock. That battle from the first half continues. So nearly a lovely touch into his teammate there, Bamford. The trouble is, it was Robin Koch.
Yeah, and it just, you've absolutely nailed it there, Tom. It was the wrong person at the right time, wasn't it? You didn't really need him joining the front line there. It was a great touch by Bamford. Pinned his defenders really well, and Robin Koch, he just didn't look comfortable at all in that position, did he?
He's almost doing a bit of a Rodrigo thing here, in that when they have come back to that, as Newcastle pip one over the top here towards the diagonal run of Willock, it's cleared away, not particularly far, gathered by Isak, who turns it back to Trippier on the sideline, up against Junior Firpo. It's Bruno Guimaraes, who gets away from Forshaw with ease, and then finds Willock round the corner. Chance for Wilson, who volleyed on target, but it's over the top from Callum Wilson. They have taken a deflection from the defender on the way through. It will be a corner for Newcastle.
Well, it's Guimaraes who made things happen there for Newcastle. Just a drop of the shoulder, went past Forshaw and found the way into the 18-yard box, and we're just looking at that. Yeah, it did come off Christensen's knee, didn't it? It was a valuable block there by Christensen, right at the last bit.
Callum Wilson stayed down here holding his right boot, having taken the shot. I think they're maybe suggesting there should be a penalty kick in here, Newcastle, which is why they're delaying this. I think that's spurious at best. It's a good block by Christensen. Corner kick Newcastle on the attacking right-hand side. Kieran Trippier's over it again, trying to get one right today from the set-piece delivery. It's their third corner of the match. Trippier's ball headed down, but no one's there at the back post to turn home, and it's another half moment for Newcastle which they don't make Leeds pay.
No, just looking at the way that they approach this, this next 35-40 minutes, Newcastle, whether they really go on the front foot, try and take the game to the Leeds United players, or whether they try and play a kind of a more of a breakaway game and leave the door open. I'm not too sure that's the right way for Newcastle. I think they need to play on the front foot, they need to get the ball wide, they need to get it into wider areas where they can overload this Leeds team, because there's goals here for the second half.
Point still keeps them 4 clear of Liverpool, with both teams having played 35, 3 remaining, so it's still in their hands if they don't win today, Newcastle, but it's again back in the balance for them in terms of Champions League qualification, as Leeds drive forward here again with the impressive Rodrigo. Burn steps across before Rodrigo can get towards the penalty area. Up next for Newcastle, Brighton at home, Leicester at home, Chelsea away. There are easier ends to the season than what they've got to go through in the next couple of weeks. 2 players missed the ball on the halfway line there. Bamford comes away with it for Leeds. He's nearly caught by Almiron. Does well to find a forward ball to Firpo, then Harrison, and Firpo in field, further on to Bamford, then to Junior Firpo. He's through here, Junior Firpo. He's in the penalty area, dives for a spot kick. He's not going to get that. The referee hasn't allowed those sort of things to pass today. Newcastle trying to break here with Forshaw battling Callum Wilson for the ball, and Forshaw, the veteran, is able to bring it away for Leeds. Harrison caught there by the recovery run of Miguel Almiron. He can't keep it on. Goes for a throw into Newcastle on the right-hand side.
It was great play there by Forshaw. Just broke the attack up really well. We're just looking at that replay there for Junior Firpo. Again, another player that just hits the deck really easily. Really aggravates me, that does, Tom. It's there's a lack of honesty in that particular play there. It was no need for it.
A game to be won here as we get to 10 minutes go in the second half. It's 1-1 between Leeds and Newcastle. Leeds took the lead for those just joining us. They then missed a penalty through Patrick Bamford. Newcastle then got a penalty 3 minutes later. Callum Wilson converted. That's how things look at this moment in time. A point for Leeds would keep them in the Premier League's relegation zone. A point for Newcastle would keep them third in the table. Wins are what both require at this part of the season. Here's Bruno Guimaraes as Newcastle look to reassert some dominance in the game, which they certainly had at the end of the first half. They've not quite had it at the start of the second. Over the top here to Almiron, who's goal side of Firpo. Lovely first touch, tries the cross, blocked by Firpo. Should be a corner kick to Newcastle United, and is on the attacking right-hand side.
He's the key for me, Almiron. You know, he's the one person on the pitch at the minute who looks like he can change the pace of the game. Little give and go with Gamares there, and it was a good recovery tackle in the end by Firpo, but he does like to play on the front foot, this full-back for Leeds.
Kieran Trippier's over it again here on the right-hand side. From this corner kick, loops one in, chance here, it's almost off the line from Rodrigo. Cleared away certainly in his 6-yard box. Willock with a really smart touch to Miguel Almiron. And then Trippier with a cross in, headed away, volley to goal, that's blocked by Christensen. Another chance here for Bruno, who loops it up in the air. Robles comes out, punches poorly. McKennie helps it further away. Newcastle still have it, in from Botman. Away from Ayling, brought down by Weston McKennie, and now Leeds can break here with McKennie's punt. Rodrigo gets there before Botman and brings it down. Nudges towards the penalty area. Rodrigo, left-footed, chance for Harrison, can't get the shot away. Breaks to Bamford, who does. Blocked by Byrne, back to Bamford, shoots again. Referee has given us free kick here. It's hit the arm of Bamford from the rebound, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
Well, Leeds were defending for their lives there, weren't they? One or two corners, set plays going back into the box, and then they broke away, and it was a good break, wasn't it, in the end by Rodrigo. And I thought with the space that he had in front of him, I thought he had a real good opportunity to put the ball in the box, but came to nothing in the end, and they're the breaks that Leeds United need to take advantage of.
Seeing Eddie Howe having a long chat with Alan Saint-Maximin there on the subs bench. Maybe could do with a bit of the unexpected, Newcastle here.
Yeah, I think so. You know, this game's, you know, it's an intensive game, of course it is.
It's a dive from Bruno Guimaraes here, and I think he's going to book him for it. He was under pressure from Weston McKennie, jumped away from him, and then jumped to ground, and we've got someone being booked for diving.
If that's the case, there should have been 2 or 3 yellow cards in the first half, because, you know, Bamford's dived and Firpo's dived. We've seen Isak dive for Newcastle, and
Firpo just dived for a penalty 2 minutes ago.
And unfortunately, you know, that's probably what Gamares is saying to the referee. Well, hang on a minute, you've got to be consistent with your decisions.
Well, Bruno Guimaraes becomes the first man booked today, and that's a lift for the Leeds fans. Clip forward, cleared away. Almiron finds the man now on a yellow card, Bruno Guimaraes. McKennie tries to get it off him, can't do so, but his pass, because he's under pressure, was poor, and Ayling wins it back for Leeds United. Rodrigo has been superb today, I think, for Leeds. Finds a ball into Weston McKennie, who's going nowhere in particular, but he has found a release to Koch. Koch to Rodrigo. Koch left now to Harrison. Low cross. Cleared away, sliced away, just about, from Fabian Schär. Newcastle trying to counter on the far side. First time ball to Willock. Skips away beautifully from Ayling's terrible challenge. And he's still going here, Joe Willock. Running at Christensen. It's a push and run around him, but it's too far. And Robles can slide out and get there before Joe Willock.
There's a good breakaway there by Joe Willock, wasn't it? Good piece of skill on the touchline, and Luke Ayling sold himself on the halfway line. Luckily he had a little bit of cover behind him, and that's why I think Saint-Maximin needs to come onto this pitch. I think it just needs that type of player.
Oh, that's a really poor challenge there from Junior Firpo. He's gone in, studs up. I think he's missed the man and ball, but that is reckless, and I think that should be a red card. Bruno Guimaraes should stay down. He's putting some gravy on the goose here to make the referee really think about it. I think he's going to get sent off here.
I do as well. I think Simon Hooper, the referee's looking.
Oh, he's given a yellow. He's given a yellow for Junior Firpo, and that's a long, hard think that Simon Hooper has done there. We're seeing the replay. I think that is very close to being a red card. The studs are up. It's a bit reckless. He doesn't catch Bruno Guimaraes, but that doesn't come into the thinking. At least shouldn't do.
No.
In those scenarios.
And if we've seen...
And VAR's looking at it.
We've seen red cards given for similar situations like this, Tom. He has led with his opposite foot, the right foot.
I think this should be a red, personally.
I do.
I don't think you can tackle like that. I think that's reckless. I think that's out of control. I think it's dangerous.
Yep.
The fact he doesn't break Bruno's leg should not be a mitigating factor.
No, to be fair to Bruno Guimaraes there, he's seen the challenge, he's seen the lunge.
The fourth official is Graham Scott. He's having a chat with Sam Allardyce right now. Neil Swarbrick is the VAR, who's consulting with Simon Hooper. We're not hearing that conversation, though some talk we might at some point be able to, which we probably should. I mean, there's no reason for us to speculate on it when there's definitive conversations going on. We're being told it isn't going to be a red card, so that check is over. Yellow card has been given, and I would say Junior Firpo is the luckiest man inside Ellen Road.
He is very lucky, absolutely. And if he'd have got sent off there, I think his manager would have been incredibly angry with him.
Well, they've targeted him today, haven't they? Junior Firpo with Almiron and Isak at times. Trippier's deep delivery, headed up in the air. Joe Linton wins the next one. Offside flag then goes up against Dan Burn, who was the target of the flick. And we are hearing that Leeds are preparing some offensive changes. The young Italian winger Willy Nonto is about to come on, a player that many people can't quite understand why he's not playing.
I'm surprised, you know, for the times that I've seen Leeds United play, with Willy Nonto being on the pitch, he's been one of their standout performers. So listen, if he is coming on for the last 30 minutes, he's got a massive 30 minutes to contribute.
Dan Burn with a clearance. Bruno Guimaraes beaten to it by Forshaw, but he wins the second ball. Willock will now take on Ayling, something he's enjoyed today, Joe Willock. Carries Newcastle up the line, left-hand side, beats Ayling again, Willock. Bit of composure, cross comes in, Robles punches away, too close to it. Bruno Guimaraes brings it down, it's left to Burn again. Do Newcastle have another gear to get into? A Champions League gear, you could say. Here's Willock, running in the penalty area, challenged and cleared by Rasmus Christensen. Bamford is chasing Botman, so Botman's got to be careful here, and he is, and flicks it into Bruno Guimaraes. He's under pressure now from Rodrigo. Bruno nice and calm with a pass back to Cher. 60 minutes gone, 62 in fact. It's Leeds 1, Newcastle 1 on Premier League Live. Well, getting to roll the dice time for these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, we're in to that 61st, 62nd minute where a lot of the substitutes are making their way onto the pitch, and it's going to be one of them games decided by them, I'm sure. You know, this...
Oh, brilliant. Weston McKennie is robbed. Joe Linton. Is there a pass on for him now? He goes cross-field to Harrison, a looping ball. Did well to win it, they didn't seem to have the puff to carry it. Great play, Harrison gets away from one, helped out by Cox to get away from two, and Harrison can cross low here. It's away, up in the air from Cher. Then Joe Linton with a little shove, breaks back to Weston McKennie, who brings the ball down, then swipes at it and volleys over the crossbar.
It was a great opportunity there by Weston McKennie. He was involved in the previous phase of play and found himself inside the 18-yard box, and he just snatched at it, didn't he? First touch was decent, come off his chest, and
here is the change. Well, I was about to say now, but Newcastle have taken the goal kick. Nonto is ready on the edge of the technical area to come on. It's the change the Leeds fans are desperate to see. Willock with a touch back here towards Burn, and they look cross-field again towards Almiron, but that's a poor one this time. Firpo controls, finds Robles. Robles clearance into touch here. Trippier will take the throw in, not before Nonto is introduced for Jack Harrison. That's the second change that Leeds are able to make. Well, he's been terrific this season whenever I've seen him, Willy Nonto, but Javi Gracia wouldn't play him. Sam Allardyce is not starting him. He's on now to maybe keep Leeds in the league.
It was a good shift there by Jack Harrison. He's definitely worked hard for his team, not had a lot of joy in the final third, and it's up to Willy Nonto now to take the baton and try and push this team further forward, have some chances to score that all-important second goal for Leeds, but at this moment in time they are on the back foot.
Just 19, a full Italian international, 4 goals this season in all competitions. A very, very talented young player that Leeds have on their hands here, but they're defending at the moment with a long throw coming in from Kieran Trippier from the right-hand side in front of the Newcastle fans. Headed away, Bruno forward, Almiron and Nonto battling for it. Almiron lobs it back to Trippier, onto Almiron, first time onto Bruno Guimaraes, breaks to Almiron. They're battling away here, Newcastle and Leeds, to try and get control of this football. Forshaw with a left-footed pump into touch, with Nonto having just set him up for a clearance down the line. We're hearing Newcastle changes are afoot in a few moments' time. For now, we're back underway with Bruno Guimaraes found by Isak. Big test this for Newcastle. Huge test. Here's Callum Wilson in the box. Back to goal. 2 around him. Is there someone to pass to? Finds Bruno Guimaraes. Into Isak. on towards Willock. It's brought away by Ayling. No foul on him. Chance here for Callum Wilson. On towards Willock, well away in the penalty box by Voba. Kept on by Byrne. Willock again in the box, Newcastle. Cross comes in. Isak is there. Heads towards goal. He's claiming handball here, Isak. Screaming for it, in fact. It looked to me like he headed wide. Isak has run straight to Simon Hooper and says that should be a penalty for us. Oh, he's right. It's a penalty. It's Firpo. Firpo's put his arm up and he's done a Luke Shaw. And this is going to be a penalty. It has to be a penalty to Newcastle United.
It's a blatant penalty.
Oh no,
Absolutely.
Junior Firpo.
It's incredible, isn't it? You know, in the heat of the moment where you're under pressure and you make these terrible calls.
It might have done him a favour for Firpo to get sent off in this instance. His arm's up, it brushes the fingers, there's no reason to do it. I think Isak is right, this has to be given.
Well, he was adamant, wasn't he? As soon as it's got into that area, Isak knew that Junior Firpo has raised his hand and it's a blatant penalty.
They'll now be checking an offside potentially against Almiron from the cross. I don't think that's going to count for anything. Isak's onside. I'm not sure there's a foul from Isak. Maybe that is a mitigator here. Do you see it? Do you see a shove? Do you see a foul?
Well,
I think his hands are already up before they make contact with each other.
Well, he's definitely made contact. He's going to the
referee's going to look at this.
He?
I mean, it looks like a penalty on first viewing, on second viewing, on every replay you've seen. This has to be a penalty to Newcastle United, and it's another moment in the game where Junior Firpo has cost his team. What is his arm doing up there? That's what Simon Hooper has to justify. Is the arm up there for a reason that doesn't fit the handball criteria? I can't find one.
No, it's a blatant penalty, Tom. You know, can only see one outcome here, and that's going to be a Newcastle penalty.
Well, if they don't give it, there may well be an apology to Newcastle on Monday. There won't be. It's a penalty kick, and Junior Firpo has cost his team once again with a bizarre decision. It's handball, it's a penalty kick, and it's Newcastle's second penalty of the game. It's our third of the game. Patrick Bamford missed one to put Leeds 2-0 up earlier, and that should surely be a yellow card for Junior Firpo as well for handball.
Absolutely. We spoke about it at half-time. You know, we asked the question.
He's not going to give it. Well, there's no double jeopardy in second yellows. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Tom, we said, didn't we, one of these players, and I pointed the finger at these full-backs for Leeds United, will make a massive mistake in the second half. And it's exactly what's happened. I've watched them so much this year that the full-backs have become a liability for this Leeds United team. None more so than Junior Firpo.
Kieran Trippier has handed the ball to Callum Wilson, having protected the penalty spot and the ball for the entirety of that VAR check. And Callum Wilson, who scored from the spot earlier in the game at one end, is now attempting to do it from the other. Leeds are doing whatever they can to delay. Joel Robles has been yellow carded here for doing just that, trying to scuff up the penalty spot, trying to wind up Callum Wilson. It's at the Norman Hunter end where the vociferous Leeds fans are sitting right next to the Newcastle fans on the right hand side from a Magpies perspective. The atmosphere is intense, the pressure is huge. The taker is Callum Wilson.
And we've seen a penalty kick saved at this end only in the first half.
And still we wait. Joel Robles, who's on a yellow card, is dangerously close to getting himself sent off here, as maybe Junior Firpo should already have been for Leeds. Emotion is high. Callum Wilson composed, 12 yards out from the penalty spot for Newcastle United, their top scorer. He's already scored one penalty in this game. He scored another. He scored another, Callum Wilson. The definition of a pressure penalty kick. And Champions League bound Callum Wilson and Newcastle United take the opportunity. It's 2-1.
Well, Junior Firpo's shaking his head as he goes back to his position to get ready for the restart, and he's really let his team down. He really has, but take nothing away from Callum Wilson. What a penalty. Pressure penalty. A lot of time to pick his spot, and he sure did. Right down the middle of the goal, high. Robles, no chance with this penalty kick. It's a fantastic penalty by Callum Wilson.
It's a beautiful pass right down the centre. For all Robles' histrionics and delaying tactics, it didn't get to Callum Wilson, who took a brave spot kick. instep, roof of the net. And it's the Newcastle fans celebrating. They're 2-1 up. They're heading towards the Champions League as things stand. And Leeds now have got to regather, regroup, and get something from this game. Or they're going to be on 30 points with 2 games remaining.
I mean, I think from a managerial perspective, you can't legislate for mistakes like Junior Firpo's made today. I mean, it doesn't matter who your manager is, Bielsa.
Leeds United are reeling here. It's all gone against them. And the game has gone on. And it's got the feeling of a powder keg right now at Ellen Road. Sorry, Sean, carry on.
No, I was just saying about this fullback, Junior Firpo. He's had enough managers. They've all made, the case that he's an unreliable fullback. And we've sure seen this in this second half.
We're being told Willie Gnonto was yellow carded somewhere in all that as well. Don't know how, forgive me. We're being told, as a matter of fact, it's happened. We saw Joel Robles, but I didn't see Gnonto. I'm assuming some complaints about the penalty kick as this corner is taken short. Back to Willock. He'll find Bruno. Trippier, with an awful miscontrol over on that far side. He's had a stinker today, Kieran Trippier. And in fact, I think he was about to get yellow carded. The referee has blown his whistle for Newcastle changes instead. Miguel Almiron withdrawn for Anthony Gordon, the man signed from Everton during the January transfer window. Is there a second change in there as well? I mean, Almiron's played well today.
I think he's done well. I think, this front three, at times when the ball's come into his area, he's been efficient. He's disappointed walking off, as you should be as a player.
Callum Wilson being taken off here as well for Alain Saint-Maximin. He was the man getting ready to come on. It is Saint-Maximin. That'll see Alexander Isak go central. Strength and depth for Newcastle too. Saint-Maximin, terrific player, a bit unpredictable, but you can bring someone like that on when the other team are chasing the game. It's a great substitution.
Yeah, great variety that they've got, haven't they? Players who can play in a number of positions as well, really important.
Well, it's all about Leeds United now. Newcastle have done their job. They've come from 1-0 down to lead 2-1. It's now Leeds United to try and do whatever they can to stay in this game and stay in this division. West Ham next week at London Stadium, and then Tottenham on the final day right here at Ellen Road. Here's Rodrigo, who hasn't deserved to be on the losing team today, but he's given the ball away poorly on the halfway line to that man Saint-Maximin, who does what he always does and tries to take on 5 people. Loses out and then gives a free kick away. We're also being told, by the way, not that it matters now in terms of this game, that Callum Wilson's been yellow carded for something in there as well. Referees got a bit caught up in it, I think. And again, aren't we all? What a game this has been.
It's a great game.
Terrific match
fantastic.
Of football.
Absolutely, we've had a little bit of everything, haven't we? It's and I still think there's a lot of action to still witness between now and the end of the game, Tom.
You gotta love it when it's all on the line, and it's even better when it's not your team in it. Here's Gnonto at the right end from a Leeds perspective, finding Junior Firpo. Tarrying in field. Looks
because I don't like watching myself.